hi, hello, how are you? I'm Pia, and today we're doing my mid-year book freakout tag. As I say in every video, make sure to click the link down below, sign petitions where you can, donate if you can, and watch videos if you can't donate. Try to make a change, educate yourself, stay in tune with everything that's going on because this is not just a trend and it is ever present, so please, please. So the mid-year book freakout tag is a book I do every year, yet I think I didn't do it last year and I don't know why. I think I just had too many videos going on in June. This is basically just to check in, check out on all of your reading that you've been doing for the year. So the first question is best book. Now I have a few for this one. Okay, so the first one is gonna come to no surprise to anyone. This is The Starless Sea. I adored this book. I devoured this book. I'm obsessed with this book. This is my favorite book of the year so far. Favorite, all-time favorite. My cheeks are getting really red because it's really hot in here. Next up is Stargirl by Jerry Spinelli. This is a book that's similar to a lot of my all-time favorite books, with a quirky main character who doesn't really fit in and who ends up changing the world, basically. Or changing the world that she's in. I love Stargirl. It's in middle grade. It's little short goodness and I love it. It's all about being yourself. It's fantastic. Next up I have Tweet Cute. This is a debut and I'm literally obsessed with this. When I got the arc of this in January, I believe, and I read it and I loved it and I could not stop raving about Emma Lord. This is the sweetest story, but it's also really deep and emotional with incredible family relationships and what it's like to be a senior. Lastly, my other favorite book of the year, or best book of the year so far, is An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. I could not tell you why I love this book so much. It was just so fascinating. A day hasn't gone by where I haven't been thinking about this, and that's like how I know. Next up is best sequel. Now I don't read a lot of sequels because I don't read a lot of series. The best sequel that I read this year so far is Queen of Mary and Darkness. I love these books. I thought this was a fantastic book. I was kind of slumpy. I don't know how I really felt about Lord of Shadows, but I think this was probably the best book in the series of The Dark Artifices, and I'm obsessed. I love these books. Next question is a new release that I haven't read yet. I don't have a lot of new releases that I haven't read yet. Most of my TBR is backlist titles. I thought I was gonna say House of Salt and Sorrow, but this came out in 2019, so I'm basically a loser and I don't know the answer. Next up we have most anticipated. Now I have a few on this list and I'm so excited for all of them. First up is More Than Maybe by Erin Hahn. She wrote You'd Be Mine, which I absolutely loved. It was one of my favorite books of last year, and this is a kind of like Empire Records 80s music love story and I'm so excited to read it. The release date got pushed back and I actually pre-ordered it, so I will be getting it whenever it decides to come out. Next up is Chasing Lucky by Jen Bennett. Again, my favorite authors come into play here. I adore her romances. They're all so sweet and swoon-worthy and I don't know what this is about, but I'm so excited. And then The Switch is coming out by Beth O'Leary. She wrote The Flat Chair. Again, one of my favorite books of last year. I am gonna say this a million times, but like I'm gonna say like a 7-year-old woman switching lives with like a 30-something-year-old woman, and I'm just like, I'm so ready. Then I have a book here called The Black Kids. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what the synopsis is about or what the book is about because I read it and I forgot. Roan is coming out this year. This is by Tiffany D. Jackson. I've read a few Tiffany D. Jackson books. I've met her. She's like such a sweet gal, and this one, the cover, the synopsis, it sounds really funky and really cool. And then lastly, of course, A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor, the sequel to An Absolutely Remarkable Thing. I'm dying. I am dying for this book. Oh my god. Next up is a book that was your biggest disappointment. For that, I'm going to go with The Last True Poets of the Sea by Julia Drake. Now, don't get me wrong, I didn't hate this book at all. It was just not at all what I was expecting, and so I was quite disappointed in that. I thought it was going to have some more fabulism elements, and it just was not as page-turning and as good as I wanted it to be. Next up is your biggest surprise. I have 3 here. This one being The Remarkable Journey of Studying St. James. This is a book I completely picked up on a whim. It's a middle grade book again. It has a quirky main character. I love it. It deals with grief. This one really surprised me because I literally didn't know anything about it. I just saw it through my library and I was like, oh, I'll read this. It might be one of my favorite books of the year. If we were making my like top 10 right now, like it would be up there. And then I have Ziggy Stardust to Me. Again, oh my god, why am I this cover? I am this cup. Sticky Stardust to me, again, I hadn't heard anyone talk about this, and that's why I was so surprised when I absolutely adored it. This is another book I gave 5 out of 5 stars, and I knew nothing about it, except the synopsis, but I hadn't heard anyone talk about it, so reading this and loving it was definitely a surprise. And then I have The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. Now, I did not think I was gonna like this book. I put it off for a very long time. This was actually one of the books I got in my first Depop order, and I bought 3 books. I bought Bear and the Nightingale, Throne of Glass, and Shadow and Bone. Is that what it's called? I didn't really like Throne of Glass, and I DNF'd Shadow and Bone, so I was like, oh my god, this is just gonna be bad. I read this with no expectations, and it was so whimsical and so like cozy and interesting, and I really liked the world that was built in this. I can't wait to read the rest of the series, and I literally thought I was gonna hate this, and I'm so glad I didn't. Next up is your favorite new authors. This can be new to you or new in general. Obviously, I have to shout out Emma Lord for writing Tweet Cute. She's a debut author. I'm in love with her writing. I'm in love with her life. I follow her on Instagram. She seems like the most wholesome person. Then I would say Claire Kahn. This is Let's Talk About Love, which is the first book I've read by her. But I love this book so much that she's obviously going to be my new favorite, or one of my new favorite authors. I think she's definitely one to watch. And then I would have to say Ashley Harrington Blake. I have been reading a lot of middle grades recently, as you would know if you keep up with my vlogs and wrap-ups and all that jazz. I adore her stories. They're so hard-hitting, yet so whimsical and easygoing, and I love these books so much. So she's a huge inspiration and definitely one of my new favorite authors. Next up is your newest fictional crush. I have 2. First is from Tweet Cute, Jack. Like, stop. Jack and Pepper's relationship in Tweet Cute is adorable. I love Jack. He's hilarious, and he's like, I don't even know how to describe him, but he's so sweet, and I just want him to be my boyfriend. And then I would have to say Tal from Let's Call It a Doomsday. Again, super supportive guy. He's really there for you. He believes in you. Like, next up is favorite character. I would have to go with Stargirl from Stargirl. Flipping love her. She reminds me so much of me when I was a kid, and even now, wanting to stand out and wanting to just be yourself, be unapologetically yourself. And then I would also say April May from An Absolutely Remarkable Thing. This is because she's such an interesting character. I don't think I'm anything like April May. I don't really want to be April May, but she's such a 3-dimensional character that I just really enjoyed reading from her perspective. I really liked reading about her, and I can't wait for the sequel. Oh my god. Then we have books that you've cried over. So actually I only have 1, I think, but I do cry a lot, and I just don't remember. But I would say the fastest one to make me cry was Let's Talk About Love by Claire Kahn. I literally started this book. I was maybe on page page 6, and I was crying. I had never read a book with a asexual romance, or like an asexual character at the forefront of the story, and I was just like, oh my god, I feel it so much. Reading this book, it made me cry. It made me so happy, and I was like, please, everyone needs to read this book, because there are so many identities out there that are not represented and that are not talked about and that are like hush hush about, and like people don't really respect them, and asexuality I think is one of them. So I just fucking love this book. And then we have books that made you happy. Foolish Hearts by Emma Mills. Again, this is another book I really saw myself in, and I love the main character and the love interest, and I just really like the story of this one. It made me very, very happy with the ending of this and with the whole character arcs and family relationships and everything that just went on to this book. I really, really loved it. And then I have The Mighty Heart of Sunny St. James. This is a book that definitely could maybe make you cry, but it made me so happy just seeing representation in middle grade, reading this beautiful story about 2 kids, and just having such like important topics discussed in this like easy, accessible way, and I just really love this. We have Most Beautiful Cover next up, and I mean, The Starless Sea really kind of takes the cake. Foolish Hearts is just a flipping gorgeous cover. Look at that. The last question is, what are some books that you hope to get to by the end of the year? I have a lot. There's a lot that are coming out. There's a lot that I want to read, but these 3 are kind of my top priorities. First off, I have here Nevernight by J. Kristoff. This was one of the books that I think I did in my 5-star predictions video. I put this in my top books to read in 2020. 52 pages into it, but I decided to kind of take a pause, and I want to listen to the audiobook because it has footnotes, and I am a stupid bitch. So I do really want to get to this, hopefully if I can find the audiobook anywhere, and I just really think I'm gonna love it. I mean, like Badass Assassins. Then I have here On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. I recently bought this, and I love Angie Thomas. I don't know what took me so long to buy this book. Obviously, I love The Hate You Give. I love Angie Thomas as a person. She seems like so sweet. This is about like someone taking on an underground like hip-hop persona that like the person who was actually that person like died, and now they're like becoming that rap god, and I'm so excited. And then lastly, I'm pretty sure I showed this last year, but it's happening. It's happening this month, guys. The Prior of Thorntree. I don't have anything to say about it. I need to read it. Why haven't I read it? It's too big. I'm scared of it. Anyway guys, that is all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to check out the links down below to donate, support, sign petitions, all that jazz. Like, comment, subscribe to all the things, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!